Good day, my name is Mariette Marie.
I am Mieke Daniel.
And I am Sonja Steenkamp. Today we are going to talk to you about nematodes. Nematode has got a huge effect on potato production, as you can see, and if you take no action against them, this is what you will get in your potato yield. Producers lean heavily on chemical control at this moment, and as you can see here, most of the products are under pressure and can be taken off the market. But that will not be the end of the line, because here you can see Aldecarp were taken off in 2016, and still the potato production remained the same, or more or less the same. What we did now is to try and figure out what other alternative products we can provide to the potato producers. My project was all about to see what will happen if we take out fumigation. In season 1, we fumigated the microplots first with 1.3 dichloropropene, and then we planted, and with planting we also inoculated each plant. It was about 5 potato plants per plot. We inoculated it with 5,000 nematodes per plant, and that amounts to about 25,000 nematodes per plot, and that's a worst case scenario. That was a heavily infested plot. And then of course we had the product application there. In the season 2, and I just want to mention here, remember this is not what's done in the practice. You usually have about 4 years before you plant potatoes again, but we wanted to see what will happen if we take away the fumigation, and then with the worst case scenario, what would happen if we then apply some of the products. So in the second season, we did not fumigate again, so it was the nematodes that stayed behind during the first growing season. We also planted then, but we did not inoculate. It was only the nematodes that stayed behind. And then of course we had the product application. And this is what we got. On the top 2 you can see those are the controls. And the second one was, this potato production was under a very good fertilizing program, so no fault can be found with the fertilizer. The first 2 indicated in this greenish color, the Phenomephos and the Oxymol, are some of the older products, and you can see that it works quite well if you take into account that all of those plots has got 25,000 nematodes. We also looked at more of the new generation nematicide, the Reclamel, the Fluopyram and the Fluozensulfone, and they also did quite a good job. And we also look at some biologicals, and you can see that the biologicals also were quite effective. The second season, however, the nematode numbers did go up, and with this I just want to say that remember it's a worst case scenario, and remember that we can't only rely on nematicides, so we will need some alternatives as well.
One of these alternatives is cover crops, is the use of cover crops. Now of course cover crops you have to plant before you plant your potatoes. It's a strategy that you have to decide on long before you have your potato crop. The advantage of cover crops is that there is a wide range of crops available. They have other benefits besides being able to reduce your nematode numbers. They can enhance your soil, your nutrients. They ensure that you have more nutrients. They can also build up microbes in the soil. They can improve your soil structure. So there is a wide variety of things that you can do with cover crops. Another option is that you can use them for grazing. But what we've looked at is which ones of those are resistant to nematodes, and mainly the 2 most important genera, which is root knot nematode and lesion nematode. And we've gone through summer and winter crops, and we've seen that there were some very good results in these crops. Now what is important is if you have a nematode problem, is that you need to plant cover crops that are resistant to nematodes, because otherwise you will just enhance the nematode numbers. If you look at the 3rd column here, the 4th column, you can see the nematode numbers after cover crops were planted in each of these plots that Sonja showed you. And look at the dramatic decrease. So cover crops can decrease your nematode numbers. It was a mixture of crops that we had tested and that seemed resistant. So I gave them to Sonja, and I was pretty surprised with the good results. So cover crops can really help in reducing nematode numbers. The one other thing that I also want to show is, or mention, is that among the cover crops we tested, we also tested sunflowers, soya, maize, and these are not cover crops but used as rotations, and it's important that you use, when you do rotations, that you use crops that are not highly susceptible, because otherwise you do not break the cycle of nematodes. We tested at least 40 different cover crops. Among those were summer and winter cover crops. And we had 5 that stood out as being resistant to all the nematodes that we tested. It was tall rhodes grass, tall fescue grass, we had soya oats, we had marigolds and brown, scala brown mustard. These were the 5 that were consistently resistant, but there are a wide range of especially brassicas and grasses that showed at least tolerance.
As Mika said, it's not only cover crops that can help in potato production, but crop rotation as well. From experience in the PSA stain trial, my most important message that I want to convey is that you have to know the exact nematode community in the field to make the right decision. And I'm going to use 2 stories to illustrate why I say this. In the literature, they say that if you have Proteolyncus ZA infestation in a field, you can plant sunflower to bring this infestation down, and that is not the truth. Through 2 rotations, we found that sunflowers skyrockets Proteolyncus ZA populations. The second story, why you have to know what's in your field, is the case of Helicotyledonous diestra, a semi-endoparasite that we found the first time in PSA stain, but now at other sites, that we found diestra inside the potato tuber. So before you can make any decision about either crop rotation or the kind of crop that you want to use, you have to know the exact nematode community in your field.
Our take-home message as nematologists to the potato farmers, to you, is that there are solutions, that we can control nematodes, but it is not an easy one thing. We need to look at it in another way. The first thing that is important is that we want to farm sustainably, long term. Cover crops is ideal. Crop rotations is another very important aspect. And they are probably not sufficient. There is alternative control measures, biological control, chemical control, but it is important to start thinking at a combination of strategies, because we want to also improve soil health, and where the cover crops, organic amendments and crop rotations play a very important role. So yes, we have a solution, but we need to start thinking differently. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.